Hi friends, and welcome to Serenity Farm, which is what I call it. That's not what our page name is because there's like 150 Serenity Farms out there. Anyway, I thought that I would give you a little tour of our entire farm. So my husband's family bought this farm in 1956. So what is green grass is what we now own. The fields we don't own anymore. We own 5 acres here. It's what they would call the building site. So we have the house, which they remodeled in the 60s, and then added this room, which we still call the new room, in 1980. So we'll go around here. So when I moved here, we moved here in 2015, and after Ron's dad had passed, and then my mom unexpectedly passed, and we moved here in June of 2015. So the very first garden that I started was this one. It's in complete shade. Our whole property is pretty shady. So I moved all these hostas with me from various places we've lived before. It's kind of a mess right now. This snow on the mountain stuff, I hate this. I could spend every day, all day long, pulling that stuff out of my hosta beds. So when we moved here, the buildings were full of, accumulation of however many years it was since 1956. This bicycle belonged to one of Ron's sisters. So Ron was what they called a tail ender. So his sisters were 13 years old when he was born, and his brother was 16. So, and there's a tractor going by. So this is what we call the grove. His dad planted these pine trees many years ago as a windbreak. And there's old, overgrown lilacs in there also. And then this first building that we're going to see was my mother-in-law's chicken house. And she raised 500 laying hens, and people would come from all over to buy eggs from her here at the farm. A couple years ago, we turned it into a shop for me. So this is where I sell my antiques and junk and stuff like that. So across from that is a machine shed, a Morton building. It's kind of full of junk and stuff now too. It's not really, we sold our tractor, so we don't have that anymore. So it's just full of random stuff. And around the corner down here is another building. That's my shop. I'll tour the inside of that at another time. Anyway, that building is what we call the hay shed. Although years ago they had hogs on it, you can see there's a cement lot on that side and a cement lot on that side. The most recent animal to be in there were our goats. So we had a small herd of goats, and they had a huge amount of pasture because we also have, I'm not sure how much acres down there is pasture, but maybe an acre or something. They had plenty of grass, but they would not stay in their building. They felt the need to come out and eat all my plants. So we got rid of the goats. So this is our barn. This barn was built in 1889, and my husband's family milked cows here until I think 1990. And so when we first moved here, this is where I had the antiques set up in the bottom, and then Ron has stuff in the top. Most recently, the top we have had some barn concerts in. This is the little pump house, which was where the original well was, and because they needed a special well to be able to sell grade A milk, they had to dig a new well and get new water. And so sometime I'll take you inside the barn, but not today. I'll make it a long tour. This is the corn crib. So it has 2 sides of slatted walls, and they would fill both of those sides, those bins on the sides, with ear corn. And then in the middle, it's where we keep our skid loader now and our firewood. They would have their corn sheller in there and their feed grinder. where they would shell the corn off the cob, and then they would grind their own feed for the hogs and the cattle and even the chickens. So this is just an old open building that kind of is the backdrop for my vegetable garden, which I have in a previous video. And that little red building right there is my chicken coop. Then we have another hog house down here, which now just has a hound dog in it. This is where she sleeps at night and stays out of the weather in the winter. This is what Ron calls the old corn crib, very similar to the first one in the setup, but right now it just stores lumber and odds and ends in our trailer and things like that. This building back here that's about falling down was the original garage on the farm. And you know, they didn't waste anything back in the day. When they built the new garage, they just moved this one to the back, and it's housed many animals over the years. Right now my chickens go in there to get out of the weather. Oh, there's Ron. He's in the open building. That's what I call this. It's really kind of a mess. His dad built this out of odds and ends of whatever he had, tin and just different wood and stuff. They were very resourceful back then. And that door you see is my window greenhouse that we built. We built that this spring, and I love it very much. And again, we built it out of odds and ends and everything we had here on the farm. All these old windows, all of the only thing we bought was the polycarbonate for the roof. So we'll go inside. We even had the stuff for the bench was just leftover building project things. But so the only thing we really purchased was the polycarbonate for the roof, which was expensive enough. And this is situated really on another old hog lot, because this building also had hogs in it. And we go out here onto the cement of the hog lot, which to me was the perfect walled garden. And this looks out into our pasture, which should have some Highland cows in it, but my husband is opposed to livestock. And here is my little sunflower bed that we built this spring. So that takes us in a full circle and right back up to the house. So that is just a little history of where we live, our little farm, and we just love it here. I particularly love it here. But look at those big old maples. Our yard is just so shaded and lovely. I feel like every farmhouse needs a porch, and my house wasn't really situated to have a nice big farmhouse porch, so Ron and my son-in-law Ryan built this pergola for me, and it's just one of my happy places. And this is still the original dinner bell. Ron's mom would come out here and ring the bell when it was time to have lunch, and they would know to come in from the barn or the field or wherever they were for lunch. The girls still like to ring that bell to have Grandpa come in. So that's a little tour of our home. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, please hit the subscribe button. I'm new to this stuff. And share along on our adventures on the farm. Thanks.